Good morning from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant. Welcome to Kentucky Newsmakers. Today, our last interview while he's leading the Commonwealth with Governor Steve Beshear, who is leaving after 8 years on the job. Beshear returned to politics in 2007 after a 20-year break. Before that, he had been in the Kentucky legislature, the Attorney General of the Commonwealth, and Lieutenant Governor. The last 8 years have not been easy. Beshear has remained popular to the end. He was elected and re-elected by wide margins, and here at the end of his administration, public opinion polls show most Kentuckians still approve of the way he has handled the job. But the Democrat Beshear will be replaced by Republican Matt Bevin this coming week. That could signal lots of changes in Frankfort. Beshear's term included the Great Recession that caused government revenue to plummet, several natural disasters, but it was also a virtually scandal-free administration, and the governor leaves with some accomplishments that he's proud of. Governor Steve Beshear coming by today to update us and talk about the future as well. One last time, and we appreciate it very much. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, some things are sort of timely, so let's get those out of the way right now. As you wrap up your term, you issued an order that restores voting rights to felons who have served out their sentences and also made it to where they can run for public office again. Why did you make that move? What are the limitations that you've placed on it?
Well, Bill, all of us look at folks that have been in jail, have made a mistake, and when they come out, we want to rehabilitate them. We want them to become productive members of society. Part of becoming a productive member is getting your rights back, getting your voting rights back, being able to participate in that kind of process. We had a process in place. In Kentucky, we're one of only 4 states where this is not automatic in some fashion. You know, when you come out and you've paid all your restitution and you've served your time, you automatically get your voting rights back. Kentucky is one of the places that that's not yet the case. And I have had a process in place that was fairly easy. You had to apply and you know, we checked your record, and if it wasn't a violent crime or a sex crime, then it became fairly automatic that you would get your voting rights back. But still, you had to apply. And I've been looking for ways to make it as automatic as we can for nonviolent, non-sexual offenders to get those voting rights back after they fulfilled all of their time and their restitution and that kind of thing. We came up with a process that we've just announced and put into place where anybody now coming out of prison, if they've satisfied all of those things, they will be given a certificate of restoration of rights as they come out, and they can go and register to vote. Those that are already out that meet these same requirements can go online, get a quick application from the Department of Corrections, send the information in. The only delay will be checking and making sure one of the requirements is that you haven't committed any offenses or you've got charges pending after the offenses that you've served your time on. We check that out, and it'll be automatic there too. So, you know, we've got, they estimate maybe 150 to 180,000 Kentuckians who made a mistake of some kind, who've served their time, are trying to become productive members of society again, but, you know, don't get those rights back. So I felt like that's part of this process, and we ought to do it, and so we've done it.
Do you get a feeling or have an estimate of what percentage of them will actually follow through and go register?
You don't know for sure. I do think that those coming out from now on, you know, you'll have a big part of those because it will be fresh on their minds. They will have a certificate that restores their rights, and they will go down and register to vote. The big group that's been out there for years, it's hard to say how many of those will be motivated, but at least they now have a clear path. It's an automatic path, assuming that they fulfill these elements and these requirements.
Are you considering other pardons and clemency before you leave office?
It's typical and traditional for a governor as they exit office to look at pardons and perhaps grant some. Over 8 years I've been governor, we've received about 4,000 applications for pardons. So it's been quite a task wading through all of that, but we are and taking a look, and we'll be making some decisions on that soon.
What do you consider when you make those decisions? Is it that they would not reoffend, or that they committed something that you believe was a mistake, or what do you look at when the final decision is yours as to whether to attach your signature to that?
Well, there's a number of factors that you look at. One of them that I think is important is someone who has been out, they've reestablished themselves, they've become a productive member of society, but they're having trouble moving ahead and supporting their family by getting promotions or by getting a better job because they've got a felony conviction on their record. And, so many companies just take one look at that and say, oh, well, we won't consider you. And, that is very prohibitive in terms of somebody who's paid their debt to society and has become a productive member, is church going and all of the things that a productive citizen does, but they can't get ahead in life. And that's not only hurting them, it's hurting their family, it's hurting the kids. And so it's those kind of things that you want to look at. We're taking a look at some of the minor drug felonies that have been committed over the years by folks when they were 18 years old. They're now 30. They become productive members, but they can't do certain professions or do certain jobs because of this. So it's those kind of things, I think, partially that you look at.
Governor, would you say it is unlikely that you would be pardoning people who are currently serving sentences?
Yes, I think you can say that for the most part. We are taking a look at some domestic violence cases that governors in the past have taken a look at, where you've had violence, you've had women that have ended up to protect themselves basically in a domestic violence situation after being beaten and abused, end up taking a life. And that's a difficult one, but you've had other governors who have looked at that and have found some real justification in rehabilitating folks in that situation.
You appealed the federal court ruling on same-sex marriage that was handed down by the U.S. District Court in Louisville, and the Attorney General Jack Conway declined to do that. You did it as governor. Now the attorneys you have hired say that they have not been paid. Is that bill still in dispute, and is that going to continue over to the next administration? Well,
first of all, I don't apologize for a minute in appealing that case. We had a constitutional amendment passed by 74% of Kentuckians in our state, and we needed to have a decision of the United States Supreme Court to tell us what the law was going to be. And I felt like that every Kentuckian deserved to get that Supreme Court opinion. And so I pursued it all the way to the Supreme Court. We got that opinion. Some people liked it, some people didn't, but we now know what the law of the land is. And of course, as you know, then we immediately proceeded to implement the law as the Supreme Court said. When you look back on it too, Bill, we had 117 out of our 120 county clerks. Even though they might have had different feelings, they went right on with me and implemented the law. We had one or two, most notably up in Rowan County, that didn't and got us a lot of publicity. Most of us didn't appreciate the publicity. We just thought it was negative. But be that as it may, I think if I hadn't appealed that case and had just said, well, we've got a federal district court that says we've got to do this, so we got to go do it, my guess is we'd have had 70 or 80 Kim Davises instead of just one. But I think because we appealed it and the Supreme Court made their decision, I think most Kentuckians, whether they liked it or not, felt like they'd had their day in court. And we had taken it where we should, and so everybody's ready to move on now. As far as the legal fees, these folks are entitled under the law to reasonable attorney's fees. It's a question of what reasonable is. The amounts that they're asking for in their motion, we don't think are reasonable. And we're willing to litigate that if that's what they want. If they want to come to some kind of reasonable amount, then we'll consider settling with them.
You've never said how you feel about that issue personally. Are you prepared at this point to say?
Well, one of these days I'll probably get out and talk about that. But the way I felt at the time, and still do, that as governor, I had an obligation to the people of this state to get a Supreme Court opinion. And no matter what I felt about it, That's what we ought to do. That's what we did. We now have that opinion, and Kentucky's moving on.
Not long after you entered office, the national economy tanked. We had high unemployment, government revenues plummeted. Kentucky didn't bring in what was expected, and you had to axe the budget time and time again. How dark were those days for you? That can't be what you envisioned happening while you were governor of the Commonwealth.
Well, as you know, we ran in 2007 with all these great ideas. I mean, we were going to expand early childhood education, which should be expanded, and invest money there and do a lot of other things. And then, you know, the day I was sworn in, the next day I walked into my office and my budget director came up and said, "Well, Governor, I hope you enjoyed yesterday, because today we've got to sit down and figure out how to cut, I think, $340 million out of our budget to keep it balanced." That was my welcome to the governor's office in the Commonwealth. And those were tough times. We went through a couple of years of really dark times in terms of balancing budgets, cutting programs. But you know, every Kentucky family out there went through the same thing. They sat around their table every night, just like we did in Frankfort, trying to figure out what bills you can pay and how to keep the kids in school and all those kinds of things. What I'm very excited about is how far we've come. You know, we started out, I think during that recession, our unemployment rate was about 11%. Today, as of last month, it's 4.9%. It's the lowest it's been in 2 decades. That's where economists used to say you had full employment when you only had about a 5% unemployment rate. Last year, we were the top state in the whole country in terms of job creation and economic development. You know, it's been an exciting time building that economy back and creating the jobs and going from an economy where I had employers look me in the eye and say, "Governor, I know you need jobs, but we don't have any." Now they look me in the eye and say, "Governor, we've got 50 jobs out here. We got to find people to fill them. We're having a hard time." That's a great problem to have, but it also illustrates the next step. We now have to take many of our folks and retrain them for the kinds of jobs of the future that are available now, good paying jobs. We've got to make sure our folks have that training. And I think the next administration, that's one of the things they need to grab hold of and build on is moving that training into the 21st century.
I want to see what advice you may have for Republican Matt Bevin, your successor. We will be back with WKYT's Kentucky Newsmakers as we visit one last time with the Governor of the Commonwealth, Steve Beshear. We're back in a moment. Welcome back to WKYT's Kentucky Newsmakers as we continue to visit with the Governor of the Commonwealth, Steve Beshear, who'll be leaving office here later on this week. And later on, you may write a book. Is that right? Maybe?
Well, I've had some people ask me about that, and I'm going to think about it. Just think of the people I'd make nervous if I, if I did. But it might be, I would hate to leave what we did to the reporters to tell people about. You know, I think it might be better if I told the story myself, but we'll see.
You will be replaced this coming week by Republican Matt Bevin. You've talked about your accomplishments. Again, you leave office with a high approval rating, and yet the opposing party to you will be replacing you. Were you surprised by his victory in the election in early November?
I was surprised, like most people were. I think, you know, all the polls indicated that Jack Conway was ahead by 4 or 5 points. But, you know, when you look back on it, it was always within the margin of error, and there was always a big undecided vote. And as it turned out, all of those undecided ended up voting for Bevin. At the same time, we only had a 30% turnout. And, you know, Bevin wins with, I think, 17% of the registered voters in this state voting for him. So, you know, when you talk about mandates, none of us who win a governor's race can really say we've got a mandate, because you don't get a big turnout no matter what. And when I look at what happened in this election, Bill, I think what says it's best is the Washington Post came into the state right after the election, and they interviewed some people. And they were interviewing a guy up in Pikeville, Kentucky, who is sitting in a health clinic, getting health care for the first time in his life under the program that I've got going in Kentucky, is excited, loves it, it's going to save his life. And they asked him, "Well, who did you vote for?" And he said, "Oh, I voted for that Bevin fella because, well, he was kind of an outsider, and I just thought it'd be good to have an outsider." And they said, "Well, don't you realize that he campaigned on taking this health care away from you?" He said, "Oh, my God, surely he won't do that. I've got to have this to survive." So it just gives you an indication of how disconnected I think a lot of our people are with the issues. You know, they don't pay a lot of attention to these campaigns. They don't really know what either candidate stands for much, and they just kind of latch on to a soundbite or whatever the few times they pay attention, and they decide how they're going to vote.
Let's talk about that. You expanded Medicaid and you formed the Connect Exchange through executive orders. That is, you did it with a stroke of your pen. Governor-elect Bevin says he is concerned about the cost of both of those and he wants to change course. And you have urged him not to do that. But he seems determined that he is going ahead over time.
Well, and he said 2 or 3 different things during the campaign, and I've had a conversation with him, and he promised to look at these numbers. There are 2 things. Our healthcare exchange, there's the federal exchange, and then you had the option of the state forming their own exchange. Well, we did that because every major stakeholder, the Chamber of Commerce, the Hospital Association, the Medical Association, all your advocacy groups said, hey, it would be better if we fashion our own exchange and make it a Kentucky exchange because we know better what fits Kentucky than the federal government, which is usually what Republicans like, I thought, is doing it, you know, on a state level. We did that. It's highly successful. It is the model in the nation. And it will cost about $25 million of state taxpayer money to change and go back to the federal exchange. So that's one consideration that the governor-elect ought to take a hard look at. We've got something that works right now. It's not costing us anything because the insurance companies pay for it with a 1% premium tax. If we go to the federal exchange, the insurance companies there pay 3.5% premium tax. So it just doesn't make sense to switch. And I've asked him, I said, look, political rhetoric's one thing, but look at reality now. Let's look at these numbers. Expanding Medicaid. You know, we expanded it after 2 studies by internationally recognized firms, you know, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte Consulting. They did a study, and it's, you know, the facts tell us that it's working. I mean, it is a fact that we've created 12,000 new jobs in the first year. It is a fact that our uninsured rate has gone from over 20% to about 8.5%. It is a fact that money going into our providers has more than doubled, and their uncompensated care rate has gone from like 25% to 5%. So these things are working, and I just said to him, look, take your time, really look at these numbers, and I think you'll come to the same conclusion I did, that this is good for the Commonwealth. And if you reach a point down the road where you think we can't afford it, you can always back off then, but you don't have to now.
Do you think his inclination may be to hold off for a while?
I don't know. And, you know, I hope it is, but you know, that'll be up to him.
He has said, just as you said, there was a train coming down the track you couldn't see in the recession that was about to hit, but he says that he sees the pension crisis that is a train coming at Kentucky that he can see, that there's going to have to be considerable state expenditure going toward, and that on top of spending additional money for health care would be, he says, could break the state or would cause a severe financial difficulty.
Well, first of all, this incoming administration is going to be in a better position than I've been in for 8 years. They're going to have more money starting out to work with than I've had in any time in the 8 years I've been here. I've had to juggle, I've had to balance, and we've gotten through and we've gotten by, and now he's inheriting a booming economy. Things are really going in the right direction. Our revenues are coming in at a much bigger clip than we even predicted they would. Now, is it going to be easy? No, it's never easy. And this stuff is always a balancing act. You're going to solve that teacher's pension over a long period of time. Just like we've solved the big pension, the KERS, over a long period of time, it's going to have to be the same kind of solution. You're not going to be able to write a check and everything's okay. In 20 years, if you do these things, it'll be okay. And that's the solution they'll have to come up with. And there's money to do that, and there's money to keep these people covered with health insurance, because, man, if we do that for a generation, we now have 92% of Kentuckians covered by health insurance. Think of what our families, think of the condition they will be in a generation. Much better off health-wise, therefore much more productive workforce, and therefore a heck of a lot more jobs in Kentucky.
You made some other rules in state government by executive order. You put in place a smoking ban on state property. Are you in this transition? Are you talking to the governor-elect about some of those things that you're campaigning with him to try to keep in place, or do those things hold unless he changes them?
Well, they hold unless he changes them. And look, this fella has a right to a little time here. You know, he's just now putting his advisors together, and you got to have a pretty decent ego to run for governor to start with. I mean, I'm in that same boat that he is, and you got to think that you know a lot about what you want to do. But I'll tell you, I've learned something in 8 years, and that is, to be a successful governor, you got to surround yourself by smart people who are willing to look you in the face and say, Governor, you're wrong. You shouldn't be doing that, and here's why. And then you make the final decision, but you got to have those people who are willing to disagree with you, and you got to listen to them.
Early on, he's getting some praise for the administration that he's putting together. Do you approve of
First 2 or 3 appointments he's made have been really good appointments. Scott Brinkman, who's a former state representative, lawyer in Louisville, is going to be his Secretary of the Cabinet. He is a great guy. I mean, you know, philosophically, we may not agree on everything, but he is an honest, upright guy and smart. I think will give him good advice. And a general counsel, Steve Pitt, good lawyer. He's represented the state from time to time. There's a third fellow that's going to be his chief of staff. And his name escapes me, but I hear good things about him. So, yes, I mean, my impression is he's starting to surround himself by the right kind of people.
From your observations of 8 years in the highest office in Kentucky, is there some basic thing here in this Commonwealth that we should do differently, in your view, that you were not able to address in those 8 years?
If I could go back and start again and I had a good economy, I would invest in early childhood education as quickly as I could. You know, the more of our kids that we can get off to a good start in life, the better off we will be in the next generation. All these studies now indicate that from birth to about age 5, about 90% of your brain capacity is developed. And the difference in those children that arrive at kindergarten after having had a great early childhood experience, as opposed to those who were never read to and don't know a big vocabulary and can't add or subtract or say their ABCs. I mean, by the time they hit kindergarten or the first grade, most of these teachers can tell you, I can look at these kids and I can say who's going to be successful and who's not. That's scary, but you know what? If we can get all of those kids up to a certain level by kindergarten, think of what a better society we will have long term.
So would that be your biggest regret as governor?
Yeah, that would be my biggest regret, is that we couldn't invest in that. I wish we could have made some more meaningful tax reform. The state's going to have to do that. That doesn't necessarily mean you raise your taxes, but it means broadening your tax base so that as the economy grows, your revenues grow.
All right. We're with Kentucky Governor Steve Beshear, our final segment in this final interview with him while he's actively governor, coming up on WKYT's Kentucky Newsmakers. Welcome back to WKYT's Kentucky Newsmakers. The Governor of the Commonwealth, Steve Beshear, with us. And this was clearly a partnership for you. We understand that in 2011, your polling indicated that the First Lady, Jane Beshear, was at least as popular, if not more popular than you, and that's why you used her in the commercials that year. But you're both ready to go home to the farm, huh?
Well, we are, and I'll tell you, I can't say enough good things about the First Lady. I mean, she has been the most amazing First Lady, I think, in our history, because of all the substantive things that she's accomplished, from breast cancer awareness to the Recovery Kentucky drug treatment centers, to the outdoor tourism and the trails that she has championed. You know, so many things. She raised $1 million and put it in an endowment to take care of the governor's mansion for the next 100 years. And then she stepped out and said, well, Steve, we've also got to raise another $1 million for a cancer van that's going to be able to go around the state and screen for 7 different kinds of cancer. So, you know, I can't say enough great things about her.
Your son Andy was elected Attorney General. There will still be a Beshear in Frankfort, the first statewide office that you held 36 years ago. Do you expect to give him some advice along the way?
Well, if he asks, you know how kids are, sometimes they ask and sometimes they don't. Andy and I have got a very close relationship, as does he with his mom, and he asks me from time to time my thoughts on things. He's his own guy. He's going to make his own decisions. But, experience does help a little bit, and having been over that road, I from time to time can give him some direction. He's going to be a great attorney general because he's in this for the right reasons. Number one, he is a darn good lawyer. I mean, he's been selected by his peers for 3 or 4 years running as one of the best lawyers in America. But at the same time, he really cares, and he's zeroed in on child abuse, on substance abuse, and on senior abuse, and those will be his priorities.
Where should the Democratic Party head at this point after those tough losses in early November? We're down to just about a minute, Governor. The State House under Democratic control by a razor-thin margin. They're trying to find a candidate to take on Republican Senator Rand Paul next year, and don't seem to have any takers at this point. What are you advising your party?
Well, the biggest issue for us this coming year is holding that House. And they have asked me to continue to be involved, and I'm going to be involved. I'm going to be raising money. I'm going to be campaigning for anybody that wants me to in their districts, because a Democratic House will serve as a good buffer for a Republican Senate and a Republican governor. It worked the same way for me with a Republican Senate and a Democratic House. So holding that House, though, is all important to us continuing on a moderate pathway, a progressive pathway into the future in this country.
Well, it should be a little bit of a quieter Christmas for you this year, right?
We're looking forward to it, as a matter of fact.
Governor, thank you so much for coming, and for the many times that you've come on this program. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
Come back as an ex-governor, will you?
I will.
All right. Thank you for joining us for this edition of WKYT's Kentucky Newsmakers. Join us for coverage of Inauguration Day and, of course, for the latest news throughout the week on WKYT and WKYT.com. Have a good week ahead.